Jimmy Butler prefers a trade out of Miami, but Pat Riley said that we don't plan to trade him, which is
He said, she said, he said, she said. I don't know what to believe anymore.
yeah, just
Shams put out a thing. His agent saying it's BS, and Shams sticking to it. He's doubling down on it. Pat Riley has to come out and make a statement, which I think is
I
a
don't believe him.
terrible look. I don't.
Yeah.
I think that was all bullshit.
Yep.
I think it was just to put something out there. That's smoke. That's smoke. Of course, Jimmy Butler wants out,
This dude's out.
and I very much so believe they are going to trade him.
I guess,
Very much so believe.
give me your favorite landing spots. It can be one, it can be five. Just where do you think Jimmy Butler fits the best at? I know we talked about this a few episodes ago, but let's just kind of refresh things. You got a different landscape of the league going on. Some teams are going on win streaks. Just where does Jimmy fit the best to you?
Where does Jimmy Butler fit the best? That's a great question. So right now I'm looking at, he's 35 right now, and he has a player option next year. He's currently making $48 million. Can make 52 next year. And if not,
Oh, what a
I
guy.
don't know. He's trying to back out of the player option if he can make more money. Anyways, I'm looking at some teams that could use his services, some teams that potentially could have the assets, whatever it may be, to acquire him. And honestly, I hate to say it because I feel like it's a basic team and it's like everyone's saying it.
You kind of have to, though.
I think Golden State.
You have to.
I think it makes the most sense. I think Golden State is clearly searching for another star to put next to Steph Curry. It seems like they are desperate to do it even. There's rumors about Kuminga, them being willing to trade him, Podziemski. The fact they made him untouchable for Lauri Markkanen is laughable at this point.
Conversation for another day.
It's like I'm looking at like Houston. I don't think should. I think they have something good going with their young core, and I don't think trading for a 35-year-old. I'm not saying they shouldn't trade for anyone at any point, but I don't think Jimmy Butler is the best guy there. Dallas doesn't make sense. A lot of people are saying Dallas. I don't think that really makes sense. I think you'd have to give up a lot to give him to even make the money work. Again, he's making $48 million. We have to match salaries here.
Yeah.
The Clippers, I've heard putting him and James there when Kawhi comes back. But again, I'm looking at Phoenix. I know has been a big talking point, but that's centered around Bradley Beal. The safest pick is Golden State. I really think that's the best spot. Or if you want to go a team that isn't contending, the Nets, maybe. But
Ew.
I know it's ew, but like that's the situation where like they're like, all right, you can go somewhere where you're not going to win, but you can show out, get your money, whatever it is. I think Brooklyn, if Butler wants that, Brooklyn is the option.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely probably the best landing spot money wise for sure. Yeah, Golden State's definitely the go-to. I think it kind of has to be given their situation, their title window, what they're trying to do to maximize, Steph and Draymond's last few years that they're going to have. Probably the best versions of them at this possible point in time. So, I mean, hey, Golden State probably is the one, but I'm just looking at the standings here and call me crazy because it probably doesn't make any sense in terms of fit, primarily spacing, but what about Denver? I think
I was looking at Denver. Michael Porter Jr. So get a few guys in there, swap a few guys.
Spacing would be shitty because if MPJ's their best shooter.
He is.
So you give him up, you're probably going to be in the bottom 5 of the league. I don't know where they're at in 3-point percentage, but they'll definitely drop to wherever they're at. But you get a guy. We talk about the Warriors trying to maximize Steph and their roster's championship window, but Denver's kind of in the same boat. To where they could really use another juice, another spike. Russell Westbrook has been great for them. But that's why I hate if the two of those guys are out on the court together, I would really despise it because perimeter shooting would be ass.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe you could sign some other guys or maybe you get a couple throw-ins. I don't know how that works, but maybe Denver can get on the phone and see what's up.
I think
they need some juice.
I think the idea of Butler in Denver is nice, but it's not like Denver is in a secure spot right now. We talk about how their roster's depleted. They don't have much depth. They are getting better as the season has gone on. They're the 7th seed right now, half a game back for sole possession of the 5th seed, 2 games back of the 4th seed. But But I think getting Butler is too much of a risk. As good as Butler is, and I
Could
still
be
think he's really good, it is a big risk. The only, and this is going to sound crazy, I think if the Nuggets make a trade with Miami to get Jimmy Butler, I might get shit for this, but I think they should trade Jamal Murray before they trade Michael Porter Jr. in that case. Because I think listen, I know Jamal Murray and Jokic is the duo. They've been together. But Jamal Murray isn't getting any better. If anything, he's getting worse. He's not making the team. He's not bringing the team to where they were years ago. He's not able to. He has big playoff performances he did last year, but he's not the player he once was. And I really do think if they traded Michael Porter Jr. and other pieces to get Jimmy Butler, because they'd have to, I really do think that like the idea of Butler, Jokic, Murray, great, but the spacing actually would be so bad
terrible.
that they would. I think they'd plummet down the standings. Like any trust I had in them now would be gone because I'd imagine they'd have to trade more than Michael Porter Jr., give up more bench pieces, guys that they can't afford to get rid of unless they go out and sign guys like you mentioned. But that's a laundry list. That's like,
That's right.
okay, they can do that, but we don't know if they will or not.
Yeah.
Again, just because of the state of the team and where Jamal Murray's at currently in his career, I think I would pick keeping Michael Porter Jr. over Jamal because at least you
Hey,
keep
man,
the best shooter on your team. It's crazy, but
I'm not
that's
tripping. I'm not tripping. I mean, I
that's the
started this
state of the
off by
Nuggets. I think
saying
that's where they are now. I think you have to make a tough decision like trading a Jamal.
exactly. I don't really think they have to go for Jimmy Butler, but
No, they
we've
don't.
seen teams in the past, right, make these desperation moves where it's like, oh, yo, we're plummeting, we're out the playoff picture. We need to go star hunting like that. We've
Mm-hmm.
seen that before. That's the
Mm-hmm.
only reason why I think this should be on the table of like entertaining the fact of adding Jimmy Butler. Hey, I started out by saying spacing would be atrocious, no matter who
Mm-hmm.
they gave up, no matter if it was MPJ or if it was Jamal Murray.
Right.
Spacing would
It's
be
still going to
terrible.
suck. Mm-hmm.
It's going to be terrible. Jokic is probably going to average a career high in 3-point attempts per game. He's going to be
Someone's got
probably
to
the best
shoot.
shooter that they have.
Yeah.
Like
Uh-huh.
it's going to be terrible. So I don't know where Jimmy ends up. We just threw out a dark horse team, but
Yeah.
for sure both of us could agree on the team that you threw out there in Golden State probably being the most ideal. Phoenix, I wouldn't mind it. I think I'd probably like it better than Bradley Beal
I
being
agree.
here,
I think
but
he'd be a better fit than Beal, but
no trade
no
clause.
trade clause.
Like
Can't
he's not
can't do
going to
anything
Miami.
about that.
He's not going to Miami unless he's unhappy in Phoenix. And right now, Phoenix seems like a
They're
better
the 11th.
situation than
They're the
Miami.
11th seed though right now. I mean,
Not terrible.
they're not great, not
So
terrible. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But I don't know. It could be one of those things too, where just I know he has his preferred list of places he wants to go
yeah,
to. You can't count on Miami to be like, all right, yeah, we'll definitely pick one of these places. Like if Memphis comes in and offers like, some good role players, some picks, they'll take Memphis's offer, and I think
yeah.
Butler would be good in Memphis. But you know what I mean. You know what I
It's
mean.
all about getting the best compensation possible. We want
Yes.
to set ourselves up for the future. But last point before we do cut it here, but I do remember seeing Pat Riley say that he doesn't like trading players because the Miami Heat organization is like a family. Some of the guys end up playing there, they end up coaching, they end up working in the building, like Alonzo Mourning, like Caron
Mm-hmm.
Butler's on the assistant coaching staff. Like he mentioned that, which I guess when I really think about it, this is why they never made trades for a Bradley Beal when they had a chance, a James Harden when they had the chance, Oladipo in his prime before the injuries. Like, I kind of feel what he's saying, but in this case, how
But
bad do you want to
you gotta make
compete?
a business decision, brother.
You want to compete? You want to rebuild, or you just want to stay the same? Because right now, the Miami Heat are mid.
Yeah,
That's
they are very mid.
that's
Seventh
exactly
seed.
where they're at.
Seventh seed mid.
I can't see them. I would think we talked about this before, but being a top 4 team in the East or being bad enough to actually have like a top 5 pick, they're literally just going to be okay.
You
Maybe they
know who
make the
they are?
playoffs.
You know
Maybe
who
they
they
miss.
are? You know who they are, Jerry? They're
Talk to me.
becoming the Chicago Bulls of the last few years, where they're not good enough to be a top 6 seed, but they make the play-in, and they just every single year. They're like good enough where they're not going to get a good draft pick because they want to compete, but they never make it past the play-in, or because at this point, top 4 seed out the window for them. Like I think if they make the playoffs, first round matchup, they're out. So it's like, do you want to compete and give yourself optimism, hope that you can make a deep run, or because you're going to be stuck in this predicament where you're going to be in that 7 to 10 seed threshold for the next few years, because that's where you are. By doing that, you're not allowing yourself to rebuild,
Yeah,
get value back, picks, whatever it may be, because you're staying there, but you're not good enough to win anything. So it's like you're just throwing seasons away. It's kind of how I'm looking at where the Heat are going. And I'm not trying to compare, like, I know the Bulls are a shitty organization and stuff, but
yes,
that's kind of what Chicago was with DeMar DeRozan the last few years. They were floating in that area, but they never made it out of the first round.
it's not really so much the organizations you're comparing. It's just the situations, which
The situations.
I
Yeah,
totally
yeah,
get.
yeah.
Because I mean, the Heat definitely have one of the
Same
best
thing with the
coaches of all
Hawks.
time.
They're the fifth seed now, but the last few years they've been floating that 7 to 10, and they make the play in, but that's as furthest as they go.